Samsung is altering the deal. Pray they don't alter it further. They are removing the overall bonus for the Flip 3. So before yesterday, if you had a living and breathing Flip 3 to trade in on your Flip 4, you got $900 regardless of the configuration. But now, if you have a 128 gig Flip 3, you only get $700. You still get the full $900 for the 256 gig version of the Flip 3, but if you have the 128, it's now $700, which means you'd have to pony up an additional $300 plus tax to get the Flip 4, and that is very much more of a conversation, regardless of where you stood on the current situation with your Flip 3, whether you needed the battery life or not. I would highly recommend, or highly recommended rather, that you go ahead and take advantage of that upgrade offer because it's ridiculous. $900 for this, you add $100, you reset the clock on everything. You get the newer processor, you get the better battery life, which we'll talk about in a moment, but then you also get this extra year of software support by having the year newer device, then 4 years out into the future from there. So it was a no-brainer. It just, dollars and cents wise, it absolutely was something that you should have jumped on. But if you have the 128 gig version, and now you're only getting $700, which, by the way, pretty bad on Samsung's part. No reason for that. You obviously did a calculation before you opened this up, and it made sense for you then. And either you're getting too many pre-orders, and you're worried about it because you're taking a loss on each one of these devices. But you know what? Too bad. For 10 more days, you take a loss. You open this up, you put in the super bonuses and the trades and all of that. You teased that to people, you gave it to people, and then you're going to take it away? I personally think that's nonsense. After there's so much information out there now about pre-orders and people talking about pre-orders and how you should upgrade and the bonuses, thankfully they're not altering previously pre-order devices. So if you got that $900 already, they're not taking that away from you, even if you have a 128 gig device. But future going forward, if you do today, they are. If you have a 256, I still believe it. Link in the description. Go ahead, no brainer. Get the upgrade for $100. But that $300 difference now that you're going to have to make up by getting a Flip 4 if you have a 128 gig version of the Flip 3, it's going to come down to this for me. Because it's not about performance, okay? This is a year-old, barely year-old flagship level device. The performance and the power in this device is something you're not going to need it for years to come. You're not going to get to the max limiter of your potential with this chipset for years. It's going to handle everything you throw at it and then some. So it's not performance. That wouldn't be the reason why you'd upgrade. It's certainly not design. Heck, it's the same design. It's almost the same case exactly. So you wouldn't upgrade because of design. And don't worry about all that stuff they showed in the Samsung Unpacked. Oh, well, you take pictures like this, and you could already do that, right? That was already features. That was a reintroduction of those features to people who didn't have a Flip previously. So that doesn't apply to you. Wear and tear, it's been fine. The hinges work fine for me. My screen has been fine. I wouldn't worry about that too much. The one thing that might make you pull the trigger and upgrade with that $300 plus price tag now is battery life. The early reports on this battery life for the Flip 4 are excellent. And I'm not talking about a 20 or 30 minute increase on battery life and screen on time. I'm talking hours worth. Between 6 and 7 hours of screen on time, the early reports with that new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus chip that they've put in the Flip 4. And that's an incredible increase in screen on time. That's something, we'll talk about why you should get a Flip 4 for people who don't own a Flip when it comes in. But if you already own it, then I'm not really, this is a different type of video. For people who don't own one, go ahead and pick up a Flip 4 or pre-order one because it's a fantastic device and experience. But if you have that Flip 3 and you're somebody who, even if you're getting by right now, you're saying, oh, well, I really only use 3 hours of screen on time. It's okay. I'm getting it. But you plan on keeping the device for 3 and 4 years, you might consider the upgrade only because these batteries don't last at that level forever, right? They degrade over time. So that 3 hours now, 3.5 hours now, might be 2.5 hours in 3 years if the battery capacity goes down to about 80%. Never going to know how power efficient the future versions of Android are going to be once you upgrade. Different updates back and forth sway battery life a lot of times on these devices. So if you're just getting by, perhaps you go ahead and pick up a Flip 4, even though it's going to cost you a bit more money. If you're somebody with hours to spare, you barely finished the day on your Flip 3 with 60% battery life, don't worry about it. It's not going to affect you. And right now, personally, I wouldn't pay that extra money if they take away, well, they did, but if they don't give back that trade-in offer for your 128 gig Flip 3, because that's a lot of money. Because now you've gone from the $1,000 you paid for this device, you're adding another $300 plus tax, plus you're giving this up. So in just under a year, or it would be just over a year, you've now paid $1,300, $1,400 for what should be the entry foldable experience. That's a lot of money. And if you're going to keep it for X amount of years anyway, now you're in a different bracket of phone. This is meant to be accessible for people who just normally would look at a slab, but because it's coming in $1,000, same price tag as a lot of those slab glass sandwich devices that take a look at this, you've knocked yourself out of that into regular fold level now by paying twice in 2 years essentially for this device. Lots to consider. It's not an easy decision. We're going to have it here if you want to wait, but the problem is if you wait, then you're looking at, these are going for cheaper on eBay. So $700 for the 128 gig is still pretty decent, unfortunately, but it's disappointing that they pulled back that full $900 that you were getting off originally just by trading in your Flip 3. So, like I said, leave the comment down in the description, or rather in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Is that kind of battery life? And like I said, we're not talking about a half hour. We're not talking about 20 minutes of screen on time. We're talking maybe double of screen on time. Is that enough to pony up extra for a Flip 4, or are you sticking with your Flip 3 and saying, I'm sorry, Samsung, that's garbage. You shouldn't have taken away that offer. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.